Good evening and welcome to tonight's edition of The Probe. On rare occasions like this, The Probe gets to probe another probe. Now, how many probes there already? Well, tonight we'll delve into a critical issue gripping our nation, the IGP leak tape controversies and the alleged plot to oust the Inspector General of Police, Dr. George Ekufu-Dampare. Well, it's been revealing, it's been intriguing, riveting, sometimes shocking, and many more so far. That's how many describe the parliamentary probe into the IGP leak tape. The committee resumes sittings this week, hopefully, but may take a different form, and we'll get to look at it. So far, 4 key witnesses, Chief Bugri Nabu, Superintendent Emmanuel Eric Jebe, COP George Alex Mensah, Superintendent George Lysander Asare, have all appeared before the committee, and that, among other things, established the authenticity of the leaked audio recording, investigates the conspiracy to remove the current IGP, investigates any matter contained in the audio recording, and recommends sanctions for persons found culpable where appropriate. These and more are part of the mandate of this particular committee. Last week, we saw the interdiction of the 3 officers involved in the matter and an almost immediate interdiction of the interdiction in less than 24 hours. One thing is for sure, this is not a matter that will go away anytime soon. I have in the studio, thankfully, for the next 60 minutes, the company of the chairman of the 7-member committee that seeks to unravel all the mystery surrounding this controversy, Samuel Atta Akyea, MP for Ebuakwa South and a lawyer. He's my guest in the studios tonight. You're welcome, Mr. Atta Akyea.
Pleasure as always.
Okay, well, we'll get to delve into it. More tapes, more videos, plus answers to your questions. We are live on JoyNews channel. We're on Joy 99.7 FM for our radio audience. We're on myjoyonline.com, all our social media platforms. We're on DSTV channel 421, GoTV is 125. I am Emefa Apawu, and this is The Probe. You can go anywhere. Do send us your questions, as always, with the hashtag The Probe. Please, be right back.
On the same, going to see President for them to appoint that commissioner. That commissioner, somebody brought him to the office with him. Then I didn't want to take it serious. The NDC presidential candidate has also assured him that he will retain him if he should come to power. Secondly, he gives slot to NDC presidential man, and even the late vice wife, they all get slot. They said when they are going to do recruit, they give your mama 300 slot, and the vice president wife, the late vice president wife, they give them 50 slot. That's what they said. I called Mr. Asare. I called him and asked him who sent the tip into public domain. And he banged the phone on me. Then I called him again. Then he refused to talk to me. But rather he sent a word through my son that will deal with me. That threatened me.
Commissioner, can you explain what you meant by this IGP is not correct? What has he done?
Honorable Chair, I will not deny that fact today, tomorrow, or the next day. I will make that statement again. That the current Inspector General of Police is not managing the police service well. It's something I will not run away from. I will say it everywhere, anywhere that I go. And you can do your own investigations, call police officers underground and find out from them. Honorable Chair, my concern was and is that as we speak, majority of police officers are not happy. And if these same people are those who are going to police the elections, Remember, police officers, they vote. Their wives vote. Their children vote. Their mothers and fathers vote. That is my concern. Later, upon further inquiries, remember I'm a policeman. For investigations, I'm very smart. But that side, when we meet in camera, you know who did the recording, who was sent by who, and on what promise to who. You will get it when we meet in camera. I have a large book in on tape. Everything he came to say here, on video, in his office, the same office. His relationship with IGP and contracts, 40,000 boots.
Well, this is the probe here on the Joy News channel, also on Joy 99.7 FM. You've been listening to excerpts of what has transpired so far before the ad hoc committee in Parliament, and the chairman of that committee, Mr. Atta Akyea, is with me in the studios. Thank you once again for, obliging this.
Thanks for having me.
We're indeed grateful for your time.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
So, I've seen how keenly you were watching proceedings.
Yes.
Excerpts of what transpired because you were in the midst of it. While looking at it, really, what would you say has been your impression so far?
It's a very interesting development, because I'm looking at the genesis of what we are doing. Mm-hmm. You see, what we are attempting to do, and we continue to do, is at the instance of the Deputy Minority Leader, Honorable Kofi Amabuwa. Mm-hmm. It is Honorable Kofi Amabuwa who made a statement on the House floor that there's a leak tape which has gone viral. And there are very damning things on the leak tape regarding an attempt, he called it a conspiracy, to remove the IGP with the singular aim of getting somebody who is malleable and pliable so the MPP will break the 8. Mm-hmm. I think that would have been more than a political rally, statement. But the Speaker of Parliament had full control of what was happening in the room and made a referral to this committee, constitute a committee and make a referral to the committee. But I believe, Emefa, it is very important that people understand what the Speaker of Parliament said the remit of the committee is. So that, we disabuse our minds about, are these individuals going to be the next appointer of a new IGP or what? Are we even the appointer of an IGP?
Well, so if these are mandates that we'll be getting into.
Okay,
this
then
is
fine.
Key because I see that it runs through in terms of the questions that have come up in terms of whether you are done with your work and why you're still going on amongst others. But just last week, before we went on the weekend break, for instance, we saw an interdiction. At least the 3 officers that appeared before your committee, we saw an interdiction of these officers and then an almost immediate reversal of this particular decision. As chairman of the committee, were you surprised at that decision?
I was very much surprised because, you see, when people have elected to testify on oath and on their own volition, they do not have any sort hanging on their heads that, look, if you come here and you tell the truth, the powers that be might interdict you. In fact, if they knew that they could be interdicted, they wouldn't come and testify. So if you are not careful, you are on the verge of interfering with witnesses, blackmailing them or intimidating them. Because if the other police officers who should come before the committee to testify, and we have this clear understanding that, if you open your mouth now, you'll be interdicted, then the committee will be deprived of the benefit of witnesses who help us and aid us to come to the conclusions in terms of the findings of fact and the rest of it. So it was very, very serious.
Did we see that as more like an interference of the job of the committee?
No dispute about it. It was a raw and direct interference with what the committee was attempting to do. Because we depend on these witnesses to work. If you care to know, it is their testimonies that we are supposed to listen in total and get to some conclusion. The people who were purported to have been interdicted were in the middle, or if you like, the beginning of their testimony. Is it an attempt to blackmail them into keeping silent? Do you want to gag them with the fear of they being dealt with if they speak some more? And what is the interdiction supposed to achieve? When a committee of parliament has invited them, they didn't come to the committee on their own volition. They are obeying the powers of an arm of government as enshrined in the Constitution. A few people come to terms with the fact that when a committee of parliament is sitting, by the terms of the Constitution, they have the status of a high court. They can bring witnesses to the committee, they swear them on oath and the rest of it. So it was an affront to democracy that anybody attempted to, interdict the individuals whilst they were beginning to testify in the matter.
And then almost immediately, almost like 24 hours, we saw a reversal of it. Did your committee interfere in any way? Do you know what led to that reversal?
Well, I think it dawned on those who took the decision. I don't have any insider dealing as to how the decision was taken. But whoever took the decision, and maybe the kind of public uproar that greeted that singular decision of interdiction, they realized that it was a very serious mistake, and they were good enough to reverse it. So far, I'm glad that they saw how serious the interdiction vis-a-vis the committee's work was. And they decided that they should suspend the interdiction. And it's good for everybody.
Okay. Well, so you would say that from where you sit, your committee did not reach out in any way to find out about this particular interdiction and then the subsequent reversal, you would say?
Well, because it was almost simultaneous, okay, it's become moot.
Okay.
But what we have on paper is very simple, that the individuals who have appeared before us are no longer under interdiction, okay, which will give them the liberty and the free will to testify.
Okay.
And
well,
as
we speak, 3 key police chiefs have appeared before the committee. Are there more officers that you've reached out to? We've heard a possibility of the IGP appearing before the committee. What really are we to expect? I know you're having an in-camera for this week. Let's talk about whether you have other police officers that you've invited before the committee.
In fact, what is filtering out of the committee's investigation is a second tape. So it's the first one, which I might want to call the leaked tape, which Honorable Atta Akyea spoke about.
In Parliament.
In Parliament. And on the basis of that, a referral was made, a committee was constituted and given some remit to go ahead and do it. Now, when we sat and were touching the preliminary issues, and I was very much surprised people talking about that you should have started everything in camera. I felt that does not accord with common sense, because the tape which Honorable Atta Akyea spoke about had gone viral. It was already in the public domain.
So why are we agreeing to do an in-camera then?
Yes, because now there is a necessity to fish out and substantiate what is on the tape, which will bring certain matters, which are very serious and might have national security implications. So where in our discretion we believe that, this is for public consumption, why not? And where we think that, if these things should come out, it will hurt national security, we will not have it, in the open, and we go in cameras. So this is the right that we have as a committee, I wouldn't say rather a discretion to exercise, so that we don't hurt the common weal.
So far, don't you think that everything that has happened so far, at least the public hearing that we've seen, hurts the image of the Ghana Police Service to a large extent?
Well, to some extent, not to a large extent. Because right now, let us be very, very honest. What is the evidence apart from the tape? So we need to now go into, is it the case that somebody was trying to conspire to remove an IGP for the basis of breaking the 8? Is this an MPP conspiracy? Is the IGP an enemy of MPP? These are matters that if people claim that this man is not good for MPP vis-a-vis the upcoming elections, that is an in-camera hearing. You need to, excuse me to say, substantiate all the allegations. If not, then it's a serious matter of concern. If you're unable to substantiate the allegations, then first of all, you would then to your own bona fides and you might have malice aforethought, or you might even have an interest in the rest of the matter. So these are matters of grave consequences that will crave the indulgence of the general public, that they should give us the common sense and also the wisdom to look at it in camera.
So it means that the rest of the hearings that you're going to be doing on this particular matter all will be in camera, or there will be at some point?
It will not be all. Mm-hmm. It will be in camera if, in our judgment, the issues to be discussed and interrogated have national security implications.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. We'll talk about what will happen this week. I know there are a lot of questions from the public that we'll have to delve into, but at the last count,
yes,
there was one whole leaked tape that you were looking at as a committee. You've talked about a second tape. We've seen some videos as well. At the last count, how many tapes, how many videos are before the committee?
There is no video before the committee. Okay. What is very interesting that there are several videos that have gone viral. Mm-hmm. Very interesting videos. Unfortunately, nobody has brought these videos to us. But if they should come to us...
Can I give the videos to you?
Well, you can give the video to me.
Okay.
If it comes to the committee, we confront those who are in the video, and that is if you like, a more serious piece of evidence, because the audio recording hasn't gotten more superiority than the video. Because the video, you see a whole cinematography, people speaking.
I don't need to give it to you. It looks like you have the videos already.
I don't have any video.
Because you are describing the details of the
Yes, I'm saying that a video has more strength.
Okay.
Like, for instance, we are being videoed here, the two of us, and you can see me talking to you. So it has more substance and meaning than an audio. So the body language and everything is captured and that kind of thing. So a video evidence is a more serious piece of evidence.
Okay, but you had up to September 10 or so for this work to be done. Today is September 10. It looks like you are nowhere near end of work. Is that the case, if I heard right?
Well, we are just beginning. And also...
Have you asked for an extension? What exactly is the process?
Not yet. We always have the liberty to let the speaker know that maybe we thought we were going to read the footnote of a book. Not knowing that, of a page, not knowing that it's a whole page you have to read. So the speaker himself did not know the welter of the evidence we need to unearth. Okay. And therefore, if we approach the speaker that we need extension to complete the job, I don't think he's going to say no.
Okay.
Yes.
So what will a typical Tuesday, come Tuesday, God willing, what will it look like for the committee? Who is appearing? What exactly will happen on Tuesday?
On Tuesday, all the individuals who had done what I would call the preliminary talking on oath will come back with their lawyers.
Chief Bugrinabo, COP Alex,
yes.
George Mensah,
yes.
Emmanuel JB,
yes.
George Asare.
Sure, the four of them. They should come back with their lawyers. And also, the most prominent person whose name is being bandied about, the IGP himself. So the IGP himself should also come with his lawyers.
On Tuesday?
On Tuesday.
An invitation has been sent to him already?
We've sent every invitation to all those who matter. We're giving them all the videos that we have transcribed on paper. You're giving the transcription to them. We've also done what is very, very needful. All the proceedings captured so far, we've given it to them. So that they will know who said what and who said what before they appear before us.
Why specifically do you need the IGP in all this? Really?
Well, because grave allegations have been made against him. Grave, of serious consequences. And I kept telling people that the committee is not the forum to appoint an IGP. That's the first instance. And we do not have malice aforethought against the IGP. The IGP's distraction is no benefit to the committee. But we won't sit down for the IGP to be disgraced and insulted without giving him a hearing.
But by inviting him to, does it not hurt the institution, the Ghana Police Service, and all?
No.
That's the thought of some people.
Well, that is very banal, because you see, if we give the IGP the opportunity to hallow his name, then that is the way democracy should go.
But his image, the reason why you are inviting him, we heard all that in public.
Yes.
Now you're giving him the opportunity to hallow his name in camera.
Yes, because of what we consider as national security consideration. If it becomes very necessary to let the IGP speak to the cameras, why not? I'm saying that...
At what point will it become necessary? Because most of the allegations were made in public.
Well...
It's out there already.
Well, the allegations have been made, some serious allegations have been made in public, but the substance of the allegations have not been made in public. That is to say, the evidential support for those allegations is what we are going to unearth. So which, piece of evidence should we give to the public that will not hurt national security? We'll exercise that discretion.
Okay, so this Tuesday will be the final leg, or it would...
Well, we'll see how it pans out, but it's going to be a very serious engagement because all of them will be seated.
What if the IGP does not show up?
Oh, I do not believe he will disrespect the Constitution. You see, his appointment is premised on the Constitution. And therefore, if there's a constitutional undertaking that he should respect, I don't believe anybody, even his lawyers, will advise him that disrespect a committee of parliament. Mind you, it's like the committee of parliament is an extension of the parliament. And if you can bring ministers of the executive to be interrogated in parliament and quizzed, why would the IGP say I'm above the Constitution? So I credit him with a lot of soundness. He's one person I respect also. He's not a little man, if you look at his credentials. So I don't believe it will come there and the IGP will say that I am not going to come to the parliament when he has the whole opportunity to hallow his name.
Will it be a wholesale approach, sort of, that will have all the other 4 witnesses there, whilst the IGP is also interrogated by the committee?
There is nothing more ennobling to face your accusers. There's nothing which is redemptive. This is what you were saying about this man. This man is going to say something about it. He goes on to put his case across. If you believe he should be cross-examined, you should cross-examine him. He's here physically. I do not see anything which is so helpful to the system and the establishment, and even to the media and the general public, than to give an opportunity for people who are making very serious allegations to repeat the allegations before the most prominent person in the center of this activity, the IGP. And you also have the opportunity to ask them questions.
Okay.
And they will glean meaning and substance from the, if you like, the crossfire, if you want to call it that way.
How long will we be shut out from this whole process?
Well,
the public as a media, we're all interested. How long are you going to shut us out?
Well, maybe let's give ourselves about 3 hours of a shutout, depending on, lawyers could also be very laborious and tedious in the way they want to present their matters. And we'll see. But I think when is necessary for the public to come into the space, why not? The public will come to the space. But when it is frightening that what is ongoing is not good for national security, we have to shut the public out.
Okay. In all this, though, have we had any show of interest from the Ghana Police Council, for instance, amongst others, in the work that the committee is doing so far? Have we had any reach outs in terms of what you're doing so far?
No. They've not approached us relating to any matter. They can only come to us to testify in relation to our remit. I do not think the Police Council has the power to direct how Parliament should work. Understand? They are supposed to assist the President in the running of the police service. That is the first thing. But we are very open and amenable to all kinds of views that will come. And then we look at it, holistically, and also do what is right. And I want to assure the general public that we are going to do what is right. There is no incentive to disgrace the IGP. I want to stress this to people.
He's not on trial.
He's not on trial. At the end of the day, certain things have been said about him. And guess what? When Adam sinned, God asked the question, Adam, where are you? That question sort of opposed what we call the Aldi Ulterior Pater rule. Hear the other side. You see, we are not a committee that will hear the allegations against the IGP without giving him an opportunity to hear his side of the story. So the principle of natural justice is being espoused in Parliament via the committee. And I don't see how anybody should say that, I mean, he will not come and, if you like, help himself, as it were.
Okay. So earlier you wanted to get into the remit of the committee, because we've heard at least the lawyer Yunusa Fuseni, for instance, amongst others, we've heard some security analysts also mention the fact that authentication was key in terms of this particular leak tape for the committee. Once that has been done, what else do you want? Your work is done.
Well, it's probably they've not processed the proceedings properly. So it was Chief Bugri Nabu who said he did the taping. That is the very beginning of the interrogation. Now, when he was off the witness stand, some individuals came and said, this is not the full tape. It's been edited. Which is to say that there is something that Chief Bugri Nabu said, which others are trying to contradict. So you heard us asking questions. Do you accept this as your voice? And some of them said, yes, as for this one, I accept it, but as for this one, I do not accept. So we gave them the opportunity to underline what they accept and what they do not accept. So in their minds, we're talking about the unedited tape and the edited tape. Okay, fine. So if that is so, then there must be a tape that nobody can contradict, you know. And some people believe that there is a tape which is not before the committee. So we've gotten another tape which we want to confront them. That is this tape authentic for all purposes? And is this tape representative? Is it representative of what transpired in the offices at Osu of Chief Bugri Nabu? We want, that's what we want begin to.
So this new tape you have is also related to the first one. It's completely different.
It's an extended version of the first.
Okay.
Yes, more detailed, and even the length of the conversation was over 1 hour. Yeah, that's a more serious tape and conversation.
Well, let's chew on that briefly and take a quick break. I'm not leaving your questions out. Forgive me if you think I'm doing that. But we'll get into all your questions so far, a number of them. This is The Probe, and my guest is lawyer Samuel Atta Akyea, chairman of the Parliament's Ad Hoc Committee. We'll take a quick break. We're right back. Please stay with us. Thanks for sticking with us. And interestingly, we've been talking about Habitat Fair on the break. And when he was Minister for Works and Housing, we must say we are grateful. You really supported Habitat Fair, and we are indeed grateful. Mr. Atta Akyea. And we are having another one, and we are extending that invitation to you.
That is fine.
This weekend. Thank you so much once again. Well, let's get into the audience questions, and I'm sure the mandate issues will come up. We're talking about it before we went on the break. And this one from Tete says, can you provide an overview of the committee's mandate and objectives in investigating the leak tape controversies and plot to oust the IGP? We'll get into it. Simon says, what specific steps has the taken to ensure a thorough and unbiased investigation into these allegations? Techi says, could you shed light on the timeline for the investigation and when the committee expects to reach its conclusion? William says, what are the key findings or preliminary observations that the committee has made so far? Justice says, have there been any challenges or obstacles faced by the committee during the course of the investigation, and how have they been addressed? First five, let's get into this. So it takes us to the issue about the mandate of the committee. I know you are establishing authenticity, investigating the conspiracy, amongst others. Let's go into it.
Okay, so the terms of reference of the committee are captured as follows, and I want to read it verbatim. The authenticity of the leaked recording. Investigate the conspiracy to remove the current Inspector General of Police. Investigate any other matter containing the audio recording. Recommend sanctions to persons found culpable where appropriate. Make recommendations for reforms where necessary. Make such other recommendations and consequential orders as the committee may deem appropriate. Yes. So 6.
And key mandates.
Broad and far-reaching. All of them.
So it goes beyond just authenticating
the
leaked audio.
Yes.
Okay.
and even investigate other matters on the tape. That is very serious.
Okay. Well, so Tete, that's your response on that, the terms of reference. Let's get into the next one. Simon is asking what specific steps the committee has taken to ensure a thorough and unbiased investigation into these allegations.
If you see what is going on at the moment, I've said and I keep saying that I do not believe that there is somebody on this committee who has an evil program to mess up anybody. As a matter of fact, apart from the IGP that I know, all the witnesses, I've never met them before. I've never had any interaction with them at all. So in the first instance, you should credit us with some goodness that we are not here to run down anybody. After all, we didn't originate the tape.
But at some points, there were those who said that as chairman of the committee, you actually shielding some questions and all from, the committee members. I'm sure that has been brought to your attention.
Yes, it was brought to my attention because this is what we're talking about, that if we are not careful, we pry into national security matters.
Okay.
So if you're a member of the committee and you don't weigh the issues critically and also be strategic in what we're doing, we might do certain things that will hurt national security. So I have to exercise my power as the chairman of the committee to rein them in and bring them into line. It was not oppressive. I was only drawing the attention to the fact that if you are not careful, your line of questioning will bring some national security to the fore, which we are not supposed to do.
Okay. Now, Techi says you should shed light on the timeline for the investigation and when the committee expects to reach your conclusion. A
lot of people were concerned about the timelines. We were also very much concerned about the timeline because the members of the committee are supposed to be in their constituency. So if we are talking about time consciousness, we are very, very keen to ensure that we bring it to closure. But we can't truncate the critical issues in the name of time. And that will be a short change that will never be forgiven. So now we are just trying to unfold the evidence, trying to, sort of dig out the evidence. And that will determine how we end.
Okay.
Yes.
William would want you to share the key findings or preliminary observations that the committee has made so far.
The preliminary and the key observations are with you, the general public. They were the matters that you could see, the demeanor of the witnesses, the way they answered questions. But we are yet to use the comprehensiveness of the evidence to come to the findings of fact. So it is too premature for me to sit here and by myself come to some judgment or the other. It should abide the comprehensiveness of the evidence, and then we make the findings of fact, and then hopefully we make the recommendations to the House floor. Okay,
Justice wants to know if there have been any challenges or obstacles faced by the committee during the course of investigation so far, and how you've addressed it.
So far, we've not had any challenge at all.
Okay.
And it's been good. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, let's get into the next part of questions so we can take as many questions as possible tonight. It's about the audience. And Theodore, this one is from Theodore, says, how is the committee ensuring transparency and accountability throughout the investigative process? I think he's been speaking a bit to that. Christy says, what measures are being put in place to protect the integrity of the evidence and maintain confidentiality? Is also key. Gladys says, are there any potential implications or consequences for those found responsible for the leaked tapes or the alleged plot to oust the IGP? John says, how will the committee's final report and recommendations be communicated to the public and relevant authorities? We see what steps, if any, will be taken to prevent similar incidents from occurring in the future. Kofi Isaac, this one, he says, my first question is, why should Bugri Nabu involve himself in the appointment of the IGP of a whole country when he knows that chiefs are forbidden to play active politics? Okay. Tony in Wawado says, this is a wasted effort and taxpayers' money. Is it possible for anyone or group to oust the IGP appointed by the president when it is clear to everyone that the Constitution allows him to appoint and fire whosoever he appoints? I have more that I'm seeing on the timeline that we'll get into. So maybe briefly, I'm sure some of the things that you've been talking about, transparency and accountability throughout the investigative process and protecting the integrity of the evidence. We'll box Theodore and Christie's question together.
Well, the committee should never sort of undermine its own work. So I don't see why it will break confidentiality and throws very relevant and sensitive matters into the public domain. Don't expect it from the committee. What we are going to do that will make sure that we protect the evidence as much as possible and then we'll use the evidence to come to conclusions of fact, and then we'll make the recommendations. In that process, I expect every member of the committee to be very confidential as well, including even the clerks of parliament. That's what we're going to do. We do not seek to embarrass anybody. I've said it severally, that it is not the business of the committee to vilify the IGP. We will not have any benefit if the IGP is disgraced. We will not also sit down there for people to come and disgrace the IGP if they can't substantiate the allegations. We're going to protect everybody who comes to the committee. That is why I could even tell some of the members that, please, this man should not answer this question because it has implications for him. So the committee is supposed to protect everybody who appears before the committee and to make sure that the person testifies freely and in candor. We've warned the witnesses that people will be treading on the path of perjury if they've sworn on oath, but they came to lie through their teeth on matters that we will later on find out that they were all lies and palpable lies. We'll package the evidence of perjury to the Attorney General for those individuals who were witnesses to be prosecuted. We've made it so clear. So we want true candor. Come and tell the committee the truth of the matter. Don't come and tell the committee your pain and your emotions. We are not interested in those things, but we are observing also the emotions of the witnesses, whether the evidence is tainted by their emotions, so that we separate the wheat from the chaff.
So far, have we had that?
Well, you could see people in pain. I mean, you yourself, you could see how some people are talking and how they feel about it, their judgment on the IGP and the rest of it. You could see them talking, and you can't gag them. It is for us to see how we hear things in camera and how we also have to let the public know what is going on. And that will be the end of our work.
Well, in all this, though, to what end? The committee will end its work. Gladys, I think, was also trying to find out the potential implications or consequences for those found responsible. What really will happen after this?
We have to make
another committee.
We have to
sitting and nothing happens.
No, we have to make recommendations to the House floor, and I'm tempted to believe that those recommendations will be ferried to the appointer, the president, and that is how we end our remedy.
He decides whether to.
If anybody wants to use, anybody wants to use the committee's report for any other thing, that is up to the generality of the public. Understand? Because if the committee comes out with certain findings and somebody says that, oh, this is not how we are seen, and you want a declaration in the court of competent jurisdiction that because of this is what we expect, that is up to you. But the committee is not an appointing authority. Let me stress this and stress this critically. We're not supposed to even, to overhaul the entire police service.
But you're supposed to make recommendations for reforms where necessary.
Oh, we will do serious. When we glean meaning from the evidence, the recommendations will come. And guess what? Recommendations are supposed to be recommendations. And the recommendations are not going to be the basis to sort of remote control the president as to how you work on the police service. The recommendations should inform the president as to some of the issues that were raked out of the committee's work, and it should guide him and help him. Are
you hopeful that whatever will come out of this committee, your recommendations and everything else that you put in the final committee, will really be acted upon by the president?
I think the president has the nation's best interest at heart, and if there are matters in the service, and guess what? The Ghana Police Service, which has serious implications for the health of the security of the state. I know that as a serious president, he should be able to deal with those matters.
Thankfully, you're a lawyer as well, and there are those who are of the view that maybe we should rather be pushing for a commission of inquiry. After all this, at least, you trigger that for that to happen.
I've read material on a commission of inquiry, but Emefa, let's bear in mind that people underestimate the power of Parliament, painfully so. You see, the Parliament of Ghana, as defined under the Constitution, is not an appendage of the executive.
It's an arm.
It's an arm of government. So therefore, if the president should appoint a commission of inquiry, the president as an executive can do that, why can't Parliament also put together a committee and come out with something which will benefit the country?
Because of the binding nature of the...
Well, but when he appoints a commission of inquiry, you see, the recommendation of the committee of inquiry will not bind the president. They should only inform him. So what is the point of saying that Parliament should ignore its work because there is also another dimension of investigating matters of public nature, which is a commission of inquiry? That is where, I mean, the problem is, and we shouldn't mix the two.
Well, then you disagree with those who say it's a wasted effort. Public funds, I think it came up earlier.
Yes, I mean, it's like, so he wants Parliament to close down then, because it's an extension of Parliament. So when Parliament is working through its committees, as enshrined in the Constitution, how can you say it's a waste of time? It's a poor understanding of the Parliament's work.
Okay. Well, I see a question also about whether the committee is going to brief the public after the in-camera session, because we are all interested.
Yes, certainly. The committee's report will be made public via the debate at the plenary.
No. What he's asking is,
Yes.
after Tuesday, for instance, when you do the in-camera hearing,
Yes.
you brief the media generally.
Oh, certainly. We'll brief the media. Yes.
What transpired.
Yes. You see, we should respect the media as a fourth estate of the realm.
Okay.
And not to withhold, information from them. Provided always that the information we have, if it's released into the public domain, will not undermine national security.
Okay.
That is all that we say. But to say that, we won't let the media have a sense of what is going on, will not reflect well on us.
Okay. I'm seeing the most questions on this show tonight, but this one is from Kweku says, are you able to explain what the possible outcomes of this committee are, all the likely scenarios that can occur with this parliamentary committee?
Well, I think, let me give him an answer in my local language. Would he know? Until the whole gamut of the evidence is brought before us and we evaluate it, they will be able to tell you serious matters. But if I'm inertial, I should have the clairvoyance of the outcome of this work, then I'm pretending I'm God. I'm not God yet. Yeah.
Okay. Verima says, how do you respond to concerns that this committee or your committee is swinging out of its terms of reference by deciding to invite the IGP, who had no original role to play regarding the leak tape? You've been speaking to it, but maybe you can speak directly to Verima on that.
Well, it's unfortunate, and they don't know what is going on, that this committee respects the person of the IGP. Some allegations have been made against the IGP. Is it not proper, in the interest of espousing natural justice principles, that should come over and confront his accusers? Don't you think it will be very, very serious and a miscarriage of justice that the IGP is never called upon to come and face the accusers, and then the allegations will be one-sided? Please, please, we shouldn't go that way.
Okay, Sophie is asking how you respond to claims by a section of the public who watch that you try to shield the witnesses. At least you've been speaking to that. Is it really deliberate?
I never shielded any witness. I only warned witnesses about the implications of what they are saying, and also even said, oh, please don't go there because of the national security implications. And if the witness wants to remain silent, I don't say anything. The only thing I say that the witness wants to remain silent, doesn't want to answer. Let the records reflect that the witness doesn't want to answer. And I leave it as it is.
Would you say you have been a fair chairman so far?
Well, I want the public to judge me. But I will tell you again and again, I do not have a special interest in getting anybody disgraced. I will not have any benefit as a person, and the committee will not have any benefit as a committee if somebody is disgraced. The disgrace of somebody will not be to the credit of the committee. And the committee is not going to be a platform where we want people disgraced. That is why we are saying that certain things will be heard in camera. And those who are making wild allegations, if they're unable to substantiate it, then it's unfortunate. But we believe that will be fair to everybody, especially when the integrity of a prominent person is at stake. We'll make sure that we give the devil his due.
Okay. Well, you've talked a lot about national security. We've heard it at the committee, for which reason you're doing in-camera. Salima doesn't see why we have to do this in-camera hearing. But Loretta wants to know which of the issues that have been raised so far borders on national security or have any possibility of breaching national security, for which reason you're doing this in-camera hearing.
Well, what is very, very significant about this is that, you know, in the realm called Ghana, there's a very prominent person called the IGP. The internal security of this nation, you know, in a large measure, revolves around this personality. People do not see that. People do not see that in terms of the Constitution. I mean, it's so clear that he's one individual, that internal security has been given to him. Yeah, it's a constitutional provision. Let me go to probably Article 2022. Let me read it. The Inspector General of Police shall be the head of the police service and shall, subject to the provision of this article and to the control and direction of the Police Council, be responsible for the operational control and administration of the police service. And when you go to 200, Article 202, 200 clause 3, the police service shall be equipped and maintained to perform its traditional role of maintaining law and order. So if the body that is supposed to control law and order and maintain law and order has a head, and we want to sort of project certain things which will come and affect the entire police service, I'm afraid we want to undermine the law and order arrangement in the country. And that's what the Committee of Parliament should not do. That is why we are saying some matters will be held in camera. And we are doing this for the common weal. There are a lot of things that are heard in-house. Do you know that even cabinet meetings are supposed to be private and confidential? And what happens in cabinet should not be aired? Why are you complaining that some other matters also should not have similar treatment? Because if cabinet decisions are in the public domain, it will undermine the executive's work. So let's get some of these permutations right, and then we know that nobody's going wrong at all. But what is needful, and it's for public consumption, you open the door for the press. Excuse me, to say very, very important part of the constitutional agreement, to ferry it to the general public. And we also open ourselves up for questioning. In fact, all that we are trying to do is part of trying to engage the general public via this your huge platform. It tells you that we are not going to do any fetish of an arrangement in which is only the initiated who understand what is going on. We are not going to do that.
But so far, how many petitions would you say the committee has received?
We have received only one petition, and we are yet to interrogate the petition and see the necessity to act on it.
Are you able to tell us what the petition is about?
Oh, for now, if you indulge me, I would like to keep it quiet until the committee takes a decision on it. Because the committee has not taken a decision on it. You've distributed the petition, and I'm tempted to believe that Tuesday morning we'll be able to take a decision on it. Then we will let the general public know that this is a petition that has come. This is the content of the petition and is within the bounds of decency and law and order, and the committee intends we're acting on it.
But what we're hearing is the petition, there's a case in court. Is it the same petition that has been brought before?
It's different.
Okay.
It's different. As for the writ in court, it's for the consumption of the general public. Anybody who is decent and diligent can go to the court and even have the statement of claim photocopy.
We are told there's some 80 officers.
We are told of some 80. Yes.
And they are not getting
the committee has asked for it. So I think the clerk is going to find the document in the court premises and bring it to the committee.
But it appears everything that is happening now and before your committee is really not new, because we've seen the likes of the Tibiru report and what happened back then in terms of corruption and promotions and other matters that came up in the police service. Is this something, I asked that because as chairman, and you're a lawyer also, I'm sure you're a lawmaker as well. Does anything really surprise you in terms of the things that you've seen so far? It looks like nothing is new.
Well, this is of a different nomenclature, you know.
Okay.
Because this is the first time there is a tape.
Okay.
It's leaked. And somebody is trying to say that there's a conspiracy by the political actors of the now to kick out an IGP who is working against the establishment. And that if this IGP is not removed, chances are that it will cost us from breaking the 8. These are deep matters which I will tell you to your face. It's even inimical to a democracy. So matters of corruption, the rest of them, and what has been done in the past, they not have this overdrive, if you like. And this is the overdrive which is engaging our attention.
It's all well in the Ghana Police Service from all that you've seen and heard so far as a committee chair. What do you say? Well,
I wouldn't say it is very well. When a head of an institution at the center of an investigation, it could sort of dampen the spirits of those who are following. But I can assure you, it is a matter that will bring to closure. And then we'll see how it pans out. But let the order of the police service continue until we finish our work. I do not believe that the forum we have should be the basis of disorder in the Ghana Police Service. It shouldn't be so. The order and their discipline and decency should continue. And then let's see how eventually we'll have a very, very, very powerful police service which is intact after, if you like, this unfortunate intervention in the activities.
What has surprised you the most as committee chair from all that you've heard so far?
Well, I don't have so many surprises, no. But sometimes the people of the world do not understand the dynamics of politics and the rest of it. So if you ask me as a person, I'm not very much surprised because some people believe that, when there is a space for an IGP, people will go to bed. And it's the president who has his cool head and will make the decision. Some people might even go and kneel down before the president. Oh, please, for Christ's sake, I want this man as an IGP. He will take the final decision. And people will be persuading the president left, right, center for the post. So when they hear that, why is somebody trying to lobby for the position of an IGP? I laugh it to scorn, that this man is not understanding the dynamics of governance.
Normal.
It's very normal. And the president goes through a lot in terms of how people believe. They want X stand instead of Y. They want Z instead of D. And all manner of dynamics he needs to grapple with. So I'm not too surprised.
Okay.
The only thing which is that is humanity which is playing up. The tendencies of men are just playing up.
We're wrapping up, and thankfully you're a preacher. It's a Sunday evening. And if you were to give a word from the Bible, at least as a preacher,
yes,
to the Ghana Police Service, to all those who are appearing, amongst others, and all that is to come and what is to happen, what would be your word? 30 seconds.
I want to say to everybody that you shall not lay a false charge against your neighbor. It's part of the 10 Commandments. It's very, very interesting. Do not, in the name of power, wealth, any other consideration, lie in material particular against your neighbor. It has spiritual consequences. That's what I want to say.
And that's how we wrap up tonight's edition of The Probe. Thank you so much.
My joy as always. My joy as always.
And we'll be watching the committee closely this week. There's more when you log on to myjoyonline.com. A Walk with Jesus is up next for our radio audience. Prime Take with Muftau is up next on the JoyNews channel. I am Emefa Apawu. On behalf of the entire team, many thanks for your company, as always.